Memories. Memories are tough. Memories can bring about some of our most painful moments in life. Sometimes you wish you could forget. Sometimes you wish you could just pretend it didn't happen. But as much as you want to pretend it didn't, it did. You see it clearly in your mind, and you wonder what you could have done differently. You ask that question, what if? What if I had the hindsight I have now, with more experience, with more knowledge? Could I have prevented that from happening? Could I have done things differently? These are the thoughts that plague our characters at the end of the first season. This is where I fell in love with the show. I was with them on that stage looking down onto the ground. Their pain was my own. To see them fight for so long and all was for nothing. Until it wasn't. Our characters practice really hard to develop their skills, to not go through that pain again, to learn the importance of fighting for something, of being crucial during one singular moment, and influence massively the outcome of a match. To see all of our heroes come together and do whatever it takes to overcome the adversary in front of them, to succeed, and finally reach the Spring High Nationals. This is where Season 3 ended. I thought nothing could have a more inspiring effect on me than what I had just witnessed. But I was wrong. Haikyuu to the Top was able to elevate the bar even more. Even with a different style of animation that took a while to getting used to, it gave us so many engaging character arcs. From Tanaka overcoming his moment of depression, to Nishinoya finding his own strength again, to Kageyama supporting his teammates with newfound leadership, and most of all, to this. A moment that shook me to my core. A moment that still lingers in my mind to this day. A moment that displays how frightening Hinata has really become. And to talk about this, we need to take a step back and understand how we got to experience this. In the beginning of the season, Hinata starts to feel worthless. He sees Kageyama get invited to the All Japan Youth Training Camp and realizes the leaps and bounds he has to take before reaching his biggest rival. On top of that, Tsukishima is invited to the first year only training camp organized by Shiro Torizawa's coach. This leaves Hinata frustrated and wanting to prove himself, and thus appears at the first year training camp alongside Tsukishima. However, his unexpected appearance backfires. Nonetheless, Shiro Torizawa's coach ends up letting him stay in the training camp, but not as a player, rather as a ball boy. It's here where we see Hinata really do something he has never really done before. He usually is someone impatient, rushing to be the star, rushing to spike the ball as hard as he can. And that's exactly what being a ball boy forces him to not do. Instead, he just stops and observes. Observing the players' training, observing their strengths and weaknesses. But most of all, he observes how each one receives. Hinata is learning about so many new things he never once thought to do, and sets him on a new path. The importance of taking a step back and becoming a ball boy has been the most valuable experience for him. Something that will then continue on with his own team, analyzing his teammates, giving them sound advice, and most of all, just letting them be who they really are. Our protagonist is now becoming more than just a spiker, more than just a decoy. He's evolving as a player, he is evolving as a teammate, but most of all, he is evolving as a person. This is what Haikyuu does so incredibly well. It uses the sport of volleyball to demonstrate the growth of these characters in such a relatable way, because we've all felt what Hinata felt in the beginning. We've all gone through that. We've all felt like nothing and felt like there was no way to overcome that situation. This is something that happens with everyone at some point in their lives. We doubt ourselves, we doubt our capabilities, we doubt who we are. But it's also then that forces us to shine brighter, eventually preparing Hinata for the Spring High Tournament, especially for the confrontation against the runners-up of the Inter-High Tournament, Inarizaki High, a team that is led by their setter and ace, the Mia Twins, a team that proudly stands by their motto, "We don't need the memories," because they don't care about the past, they only care about what comes next, and next is beating Karasuno. with crazy plays, with unexpected decisions, and even copying Hinata's and Kageyama's most powerful attack, the freak quick spike, stunning our characters completely, realizing that they are facing a terrifying foe in front of them. But it's during this match that will set the stage for Hinata's biggest character development yet. And what fascinates me so much about what we are about to witness is not just the themes itself, but how those themes are presented to us. It's not enough to simply spell out what is happening. It needs to be shown, as I've mentioned many times in my previous videos, how a scene through all of its different techniques can create an unforgettable moment. But what I find interesting is that this isn't really unique to anime itself, but rather parts of a bigger medium, and that medium is cinema. To give context, my biggest passion in life is cinema. To see something on a big screen that encompasses your entire being. Whether it be the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey, or a heartfelt scene between two characters in Drive, or even a fight scene shot in the most incredible way in The Matrix. There are so many films that have affected me deeply, and all of these have one thing in common: how the story is shown. How the camera moves to demonstrate everything in the most beautiful way possible. You can tell that each shot has been thought out meticulously. You can tell that the creators behind each work of art want to express something meaningful. And there is one director who I feel has really pushed this medium in ways that remind me of the anime of today. And that is Sergio Leone. For those unaware, the Italian director is mostly famous for his meticulous filmmaking for the Western genre during the 60s. He reinvented how Westerns were depicted by making each film as epic as possible. He didn't want to just tell a story. He wanted to create scenes that had never been done before in cinema. And one of the things Leone did was push the camera forward to show the characters' reactions as close as possible. Something that was very uncommon to do in cinema at the time. He felt it was pivotal in making us close the gap between the audience and the characters on screen, to make us really view a scene as if we were the characters themselves, which is why he focuses a lot on the side characters' expressions when something is about to happen. As an example, let's analyze one of the few early scenes in For a Few Dollars More. Near the beginning of the film, the villain Indigo was able to escape from jail, and the first thing he does is find the man responsible for putting him there in the first place, and even kill his wife and newborn son off screen, until Indigo forces the man to face off against him, using the clock music as a countdown for the duel to start. But when the clock music starts playing, it suddenly turns into a grand orchestral piece arranged by no other than Ennio Morricone, making the scene really tense. And the more the scene goes on, the more we focus on the characters' expressions, whether that be the fearful face of Indigo or the face of a man completely broken and frightened by the possibility of his near death, juxtaposed with a henchman's reactions, with the music building up more and more, until finally, when the clock music stops playing, Indigo pulls his gun first and kills the man. It's one of the most impactful scenes I've ever seen in my life, and to this day, I still think it's the best introduction to a villain ever. The score, the framing, the reactions, all of it is essential to truly capture how villainous this foe is. So, why am I mentioning this? Why am I talking about this in a Haikyuu video? Well, because that is exactly what I thought of when watching so many moments in this magnificent season. Like when the Miya twins do the free quick attack, we suddenly see their reactions, or Tanaka's moment of depression, how the music builds up beautifully towards his ridiculous cross shot, how each frame is thought out to such a degree to properly accentuate the characters' growth, how anime is cinema. And the culmination of all of these techniques comes during Hinata's singular play that changes the entire game. After a grueling second set, Karasuno and Inarizaki are tied with 1 set each. But in the third set, our characters are facing many difficulties to keep up with the adversary. The twins just seem too strong, seemingly improvising with each play, and Karasuno is barely holding on. A breakpoint is now more crucial than ever. Our protagonists might have a shot here, but the twins manage to once again catch Karasuno off guard and unexpectedly set the ball to their ace hitter. It looks like it's going to be another point for Inarizaki. until all of a sudden the screen goes white and the sound goes silent. It then shows Hinata's eye widening, looking at the ball clearly, and in impeccable form he is able to do something he has never done before. Receive the ball flawlessly, with intent, and sends the ball high up in the air. Sound goes silent again and we see everyone's reactions, listening to yet another philosophical monologue, one that comes from the coach of the Japanese national team that explains precisely what this play means to Hinata. That after all of his arduous efforts, that after everything he went through in the beginning, Hinata was able to have a moment he will never forget, a moment he knows he impacted in a very special way, and lets him realize how much he has developed as a player. He then has flashbacks to all of those hardships that came before, where he felt absolutely worthless, where he felt like he wasn't being as great as others around him, especially Kageyama. This singular play illustrates that what he had to go through was worth it, and encompasses how important volleyball is to him, as it did with Tsukishima in the 3rd season. It has become my favorite moment in all of Haikyuu, not just because of Hinata's growth, but because of how wonderfully shown it is, and uses all the techniques that Sergio Leone uses so many times in his films. The masterful framing, the use of sound to accentuate his perfect form, the reaction shots that place us in their shoes to fully realize how impactful this really is, and the music that just builds up in such a profound manner throughout the monologue and Hinata's flashbacks. That's why I see no difference between anime or cinema, because I truly believe that if Sergio Leone hadn't popularized this in the 60s, we probably wouldn't have gotten this level of quality in anime, especially considering so many anime directors were influenced by the cinema that came before it, and not just Sergio Leone, so many other filmmakers too, including Akira Kurosawa, who was a big influence for the Italian director, because in my eyes, anime is doing cinema better than cinema itself right now, at least the type of cinema that I seek. To tell relatable stories and characters and use all of these filmmaking techniques to make us really understand the importance of a single instant in time, from its visuals to its sound. Nothing is done by chance, nothing is taken lightly. All of the people who created this visual spectacle really wanted us to have all of these emotions, to fully grasp Hinata's ascension in this scene. It's not just anime at its best, it's cinema at its finest. What makes it even better is that Karasuno actually lose this point. After all of this, after Hinata's brilliant receive, after all of their struggle, the ball simply hits the net and falls to the ground. The breakpoint was not achieved and shatters them. We listen to everyone thinking about how they do not want to lose, fixated on that point being lost, frustrated by what just happened, until Hinata shows his excitement, showing how much he loved receiving the ball, showing how much he loves to play volleyball, and is hungry for more. The point was not important. What was important was this. Our main character is influencing everyone around him, not only thanks to his abilities, but simply because he's enjoying playing the game. So much so that he's even able to alleviate the pressure of the team during its final play. When everyone was rushing to finish the point as quickly as possible, Hinata suddenly sends the ball high into the air, forcing everyone to stop and just observe, realizing that they just need to slow down and take it easy, just like Hinata learned at the beginning of the season, making everyone again react to his newfound experience, and thus sets the stage for what will happen moments later. A moment that made me really think, a moment that made me re-watch time and time again, a moment that taught me something so valuable and gave me a better understanding of life. After everyone fights together to save the ball, Inarizaki has a chance to tie the game, using again the free quick spike they learned from Hinata and Kageyama. Everyone tries to stop it in time, but the Mie twins want to score this point as quickly as possible, showcased again with such gorgeous visuals. And when they do it, the play is intertwined with their own motto, that they don't need the memories. They hit the ball as fast as they can, until they are blocked by Hinata and Kageyama. The ball flies into the air, over the Mie twins, over their teammates, trying to reach for it, and hits the floor, winning the point in the match with probably the most iconic frame of this entire season. Karasuno win, thanks to Hinata and Kageyama. But this wasn't luck, this wasn't an accident, this was purposeful. And the reason why is the culmination of all of the themes present in this show, even being mentioned by Tsukishima himself. This was only possible because these two players knew better than everyone else what it was like to be the ones on the other side of the court. Depicted heartbreakingly at the end of the first season. They now had experience. They now knew how to stop their own attack, and they did whatever it took to be in the right place and time to stop it. This was only able to happen thanks to what they went through beforehand, to remember what made us hurt in the first place. Without it, we can't learn from our mistakes. Without it, we can't push forward to do better next time. This knowledge gave Hinata and Kageyama the upper hand, and blocked the twins to victory. That is what pushed them to succeed against Inarizaki. It's like Suga said, it hurts, I just want to stop. This is when you get over those feelings and take that first step. All of those times that we were pushed back, all of those instances where we felt like nothing, all of those moments when life seemed too hard. We fall into a hole, one that seems endless. But it's also then that we decide to pick ourselves up, to stand up and take that first step towards a brighter future, a future that we have decided to fight for, and that can only be possible due to the past. Because I also have my own memories, my own struggles, my times that I have fallen, and felt like there was no way of standing up again, even questioning if everything I was doing was worth it. But then I remember something truly valuable, and that is my passion in life, to fight for it always. Something that was once taught to me thanks to the anime I saw in my younger days. Especially Captain Tsubasa J. The Shingo Aoi arc still resonates with me to this day. Seeing a Japanese young kid going to Italy and trying to showcase his talent, but everyone around him was doing everything for him to fail. He felt like there was no chance of succeeding. He felt like coming here was a mistake. Until he decides to do something about it and train even harder, and now was able to succeed against everyone's expectations. This is one of my biggest influences in life. A simple episode like this made me feel like if I work hard, I can achieve anything, as long as I keep standing up and trying again. And Haikyuu to the Top has an episode that reminded me of this a lot. One where Tanaka presents us with so many of his doubts and fears, really questioning himself, feeling like he hadn't yet done anything of value, as opposed to all of his teammates, and thinks to himself that he's nothing but average. It's a moment that really makes us think. The thoughts Tanaka is having illustrate not just who he is as a character, but more so how relatable these thoughts are. How we can lose confidence so easily. Can we do what we want in our lives? Especially considering what everyone else is doing around us. But, as he puts it, as long as he keeps trying to do it, he will reach a point where he can actually do it. And thus is able to convert this amazing point. One that was crucial for Karasuno to win the match. Again, shown in the most impactful way possible, and reminding me of Shingo Aoi's efforts. It's moments like these that I watch anime, and even cinema itself, to touch me in ways I never thought possible. To witness the most memorable scenes ever. Scenes that end up having a massive effect on me. Ones that I will never forget. Because we too have suffered greatly in our lives, at one point or another. And cinema is able to make us confront these memories and learn from them. Which is at the essence of Haikyuu to the Top. Because Hinata never forgot about those difficult times. Not once. It's what pushed him to strive further, to do things he never once thought possible, to reach that foothold that lets us know that everything was worth it, and knew that much better what to do in the very last moments, alongside his rival. So, if you ever go through something really hard, if you ever go through an enormous struggle, if you ever go through pain, take a step back and breathe. Don't rush through life. Be patient, observe, and remember all of those hardships well. It's what gives us insight. It's what gives us experience. It's how we grow. Because we do need the memories.